Today we are unlocking harmonic distortion. If done well, it could be a new wave of sonic exploration. That's today's video. Are you ready for that? Let's go do it right now. Hey, what's up, I'm Analog Kitchen, and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, do not hesitate to click subscribe and hit that notification bell. Whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you'll not miss out on anything. Stick around till the end of this video. I'll tell you all about Discord, Patreon, I'll tell you all about our community, and I'll tell you all about a lot of stuff that's happening, namely certain things that are happening over at the Amsterdam dance event. So stay tuned for that. If you follow this channel, you know that I constantly say that I do not EQ or compress any sounds in the live set, and that is true. When the sounds get transferred from the computer onto the live set, I don't want to be standing there EQing the sound, mixing as I go. It should be all about performance. However, if you dive deeper into the matter, you could debate that, okay, how do you get certain sounds to work together? Because you will get to a point where certain sounds are going to overlap and sometimes they will even clash. Let's talk about the mini tower versus the subsequent 37. Those are two bad boys that like to have a fight, a boogie behind the dumpster, so you need to steer them apart from each other in order to make it work. That on top of multiple drums could mean that if you are screwing around, it gets a soup of frequencies that do not work together. That's not where you want to be. So, a thing to do, a thing to look at is saturation or clipping. There is a difference, and I'll get to that. Now, most people, when they hear the word distortion, instantly think about a guitar pedal, and they are not wrong, because obviously distortion is most known for guitarists going into a solo, stamping their foot on the ground, and most people don't know what they're doing, but they're actually engaging a guitar pedal, and that guitar pedal saturates or clips or distorts the sound. It becomes that screaming, loud kind of vibe. But distortion is always present in an analog kind of circuit, because there are always overtones here and there that influence the sound. Vinyl versus CD. There is harmonic distortion on the vinyl, the material in itself that adds to the sound. The recording didn't change, the material adds a hum to it, which we as human beings perceive as to be pleasant, so we say vinyl sounds better than CD. This is also true in analog circuits like tube compressors, tube EQs, synthesizers. You can explain that in a sense as it having character. Now, this character can be added to your live set to enhance certain sounds, to not fight with each other too much behind said dumpster, which is why I have a diode clipper cable engaged on the mini tower. That means it does pretty much as what a guitar pedal would do. The more I crank it and it becomes above a certain threshold, the more it starts to just eat away at the sound. It doesn't deteriorate it, but it adds harmonics to the sound. That's what I'm going to get into now. If we're talking about a waveform of some sort, say the waveform is at 1000 Hertz, it will be there's only one dominant frequency. We call that the fundamental. But as soon as distortion gets introduced, more overtones will occur within the sound. And this is where it starts to become a little bit crazy. So the first frequency, the first thing we see is called the fundamental. But the fundamental is also known as the first overtone. And the second component that gets added into the sound that wasn't there before, which gets introduced by the distortion, is called the second harmonic. And on it goes for the third harmonic, the fourth harmonic, and they all double. So the second harmonic is twice the frequency of the first, as the third is 3 times the frequency of the first. So distortion deforms the original sound. But what then is the difference between saturation and clipping? When you look at a waveform, it goes up and down. We call it compression and rarefaction. So both sides, the positive side and the negative side, going up and down and then there, which means 360 degrees of travel. If distortion crumbles the positive and the negative side by an even amount, we say the waveform gets distorted symmetrically. And the symmetrical vibe, that's the odd harmonics. So asymmetrically, that's the even harmonics, and they sound more musical. It creates overtones that, even in a psychoacoustic way, sometimes suggest notes are being heard that really are not there, but the brain is playing a trick on you. So those things are cool. You can see it when you put the subsequent in paraphonic mode and you play certain notes together. All of a sudden, the harmonic frequencies start to clash in a way that you'll hear an overtone that it almost sounds like a chord. That is really not a chord, it's just the two frequencies interacting with each other, and that's how you can get that rich, kind of gritty tone. So if you want to find out what the even and odd harmonics do, and you've got a paraphonic synthesizer, play two notes together and start playing different combinations of notes together. You'll hear where sometimes it sounds pleasing and the waveform is in sync, it almost feels like, and when you get to odd measures or things that are not supposed to be played as a chord, or a seventh or a ninth or something that is off, that is not like the symmetrical notes, the harmonics, you'll find that it does something really weird. And the combination between the two is absolutely amazing. Now, we tend to perceive saturation as being the more musical kind of distortion of the two. I would suggest to use that on music, on musical content. So those are the even harmonics. The odd harmonics, the clipping, that you can use on drums. It's fine in tube amplifiers for guitar. If you want things to go aggressive, fast, then you can have a mix of even and odd harmonics, and those are really what's giving a little bit of character, a little bit of, you know, that grungy metal kind of feel. Can you add this thing to a live set though? Well, the good folks over at Valco have sent me this KGB pedal, and KGB stands for keyboard, guitar and bass. So this pedal is made to just do all these things that I said in such a way that you can add it to your live set. Now, they've given it to me to try out. I am going to see what I can do. I'm going to stick it on the bass drum and then let's see if we introduce a few things and go along the way how that works. So that's what I would like to get into, and it's an interesting topic, so let's see if we can make that work. You ready? Let's get to it. So welcome from the bird's eye view, party people. So we're here. Okay, so it's all going to be about this machine today that I got sitting right here. I know that you're way up high looking down on me. Bear with me. All right, so yeah, what have I got in the box? Yeah, for you people being here for the first time, welcome. I've got in the box, I've got the Zoom H5 recording all the music that you will be hearing. This is the Octatrack Mark II. This is the Akai MPC Live Mark I. This is the Acid Box 3, of which a few channels go out of the Akai has 2 and 3 outputs into the Acid Box 3, and then go back into the Akai. So I have to go on sampler and put this in. I also have I have to enable the mapping, so the mapping is engaged. That is also for the Launch Control XL, of which I now realize that I don't have any cables inside, but for today's video that's not important. The Minotaur is here, the MIDI Fighter is here, connected to the black box. The black box is doing some atmospheric stuff. Dave Smith Tetras for certain sound pads, ARPs and stuff. There's a Blue Sky here. This is what I call the Black Sky, as it's a limited edition black version of the Blue Sky, hence the name Black Sky, and henceforth it shall be known as such. So, okay, a digital delay DG7 is here, and then, like I say, the Valco KGB Distortion. KGB meaning keyboard, guitar and bass. So Valco say that this is made for yeah, also this kind of manipulation. Mini Log XD over here, Subsequent 37 over there, a lot of wires over there. Did I forget everything? And a brush, very important, saturates the dust on your machines and make them look less dusty. Anyway, so I've got a kick. The kick is going through the Valco Distortion Not now. So on the Velcro Distortion, they've done a few things very interestingly. They have got some sort of an impedance switch, so you can get different input levels or different input impedances, which will do. And then they've got like 4 classic distortion circuits embedded here. Yeah. So for kick, I think this saturates the best with the kick. Now I'll just explain you what happens when you saturate stuff, and you can add more or less. So let's see what the rest of the drums are. I've only distorted the kick now, so we're going to look at different ways of manipulating the kick. This is very, in your face, I'd say. But here you have got a filter. So if I'm listening to the distortion level, you can take out highs. This is like full range, and then it goes down. Let's try a different kind of distortion. This is the output level to gain stage it, obviously. So I like to put it in the middle. There's a 50% sort of like drive between this and this. So I'll look at the levels here. Let's go for 0, which is this. Distorted here, go for 0 as well. So this should be pretty much the same amount. Cool. Now turn it off, go for it. It already does something when the blend faders all the way down. So there's a blend fader obviously, which you can just like push the distortion. Now, if I was to listen to the kick like this, and my drums are working in a certain way, it'll be cool to go like, I'm liking this. This is giving a little bit of a vibe. I can even enhance the clarity on this filter. Listen. There's also a phase switch here, which is interesting, obviously. So you can go like for 0 or 180 degrees. So we'll just flip the distortion around. Listen to the initial attack transient. Here we've got a cross between the letter T for Ted and D for dance, the attack transients. And when I engage this, it becomes more of the letter D. If I tone it down a little bit, when this distortion knob is on ⅛2, you can clearly hear, if you're listening very carefully, that it's eating on the tail of the kick as well. There's an artifact hanging off the kick. I don't know where this kick came from, but there's something hanging off the back of it, which is, I think, cool, you know? It saves up an extra channel of having to add some sort of a catalyst or ear candy stuff to make that happen. So there's something hanging off the kick. It becomes very, so instantly inspiration. Let's see what happens if we start to. Now there should be no distortion. Still it does something with the gain staging though, there's some level difference, but slowly going to add some stuff in. See what happens when we ⅛2. $11 o'clock. 12 o'clock. Now in a way, if you listen carefully, I'm going to do this again. If you listen carefully, you can hear that it also almost introduces some sort of a compression thing. So where if I'm starting to turn the dial, you clearly hear the separation of the different sounds that make up the kick. You can hear them clearly, but as I go more and more into it, it seems to just blend all these things together. So I literally just picked it out of the box just a while ago, so I'm not familiar with its sweet spot as of yet, but I can tell you that if you, let's fantasize a little bit, if you work this machine a little bit better and more and longer, you can actually shape the sound in a certain way, or even have different kicks. I can root this kick out, just play something else maybe, or have another channel with a kick and put this on one of those channels, and then listen to what happens if I'm blending it up. But by the time it gets to 12 o'clock, the distortion knob right here says minus and plus. So I would say having it up 12 o'clock would mean it's the middle ground. It will be 50% of distortion engaged. And then this obviously does also something with the dry and the wet. So you can really shape the sound. Listen to what's happening to the artifacts hanging off the kick, where now the letter D, T as the initial, then there's obviously the tail of the kick, and then this kind of sound that hangs off the back of it. Engaging it here, takes out low, but that's normal. So let's do it very slowly, right? So I'm going in. Here it starts to eat at the attack transient. This is 8 o'clock. Coming up to 9 o'clock almost, it starts to do something with the tail of the kick and enhancing that little flobby thing hanging off the back. And here, when it starts at 10 o'clock, it starts to smooth the whole thing off. This is 12. Now we're really punching it in the face. This is 3 o'clock. And now you can really hear what this kick is, what it does, right? So to have a little bit of character, I'll probably place it on 8 o'clock. Blend it a little bit more. This is my kick, a lot of low. But then this, because with the drums, I think it gives a little bit of character. So you can debate you're losing a lot of low end, but yeah, but I started with a lot of low end to begin with. So now I've, as you can see, not spaced out all the levels on the mixer all the way to the top, and I am trying to just like figure out like, okay, can I level it in? This is enough kick, right? Should be enough kick here. And because I think that in the music that I have right now, there's a lot of small percussive elements in the groove that I don't necessarily hear, but altering the transient with the distortion all of a sudden sends your attention span in a different direction as well. Listen. Yeah, I hear more out of the music. Don't know if you hear the same. Let me know in the comment section below, obviously. Now, this is the MPC that plays also drums and some sounds you can hear. Then let's see what happens if I'm playing rest of my Octatrack drums, because I mimicked the Octatrack to act as a drum computer. Let's see what happens right there. All right, let's do something else, and I will quick fast change it around and get the rest of my drums to go through the distortion. All right, okay, switcheroo. I've switched it around. Let's play it. Obviously the drums are going to come from a different channel, and the kick drum is going to come from somewhere else. I needed to rearrange. Let's see. Let's go back out. No output, obviously, because I've got this thing all down. The distortion is all the way level, and let's put this filter thing in the middle. So there's plus, there's minus, and let's do it like this. I think that it actually enhances the sound in such a way that I love the overtones that are happening already. Going through this thing in itself, right? Cool. Let's see what's happening. think this is optical. This LED. This is germanium. I'm not so sure about the third one because I couldn't find it, but if you know what it is, let me know in the comment section. SI it says. So that's also a distortion circuit. But yeah, so different. Listen to that high 808 head. Now what I love about what it's doing to the drums is when you clearly listen to the open head gets smeared a little bit to the rest of the drums. So with the distortion all the way on minus, here you tick, very in your face on the LED setting. Okay, so if you want to get things to go perfect fast, this would be it. Whoa, man, I'm liking this. So I think the setting for me should be a little bit like mid-sidey almost, I think. Or no, I'm saying it incorrectly. Like parallel almost, like parallel compression, you know, like stick it here and blend it a little bit. So this on a breakbeat would be amazing, I think. No, I'm liking it. Okay, so the output full. Put this on 12. Let's gain stage a little bit. Let's see what's happening. This is off. Put the thing off. Ooh. Yeah, this thing blends nicely. You have to really find a good spot between what it does on the distortion end, what it does on the output, and also what it does on the filter. Well, this is for sound shaping things. I think that could work also. Okay, last thing I would like to do is to see what it sounds like on a synthesizer. Okay, last but not least, let's put the subsequent through this pedal. Let's see what happens. Beats are this. Subsequent plays this. Let's lower the filter and let's really get an idea of what this thing can do. We play to you in solo first. Means kick out, sound out. Well, just testing the fader here. Okay, let's engage the output on full, filter in the middle. Ooh. Come on, man. The optical setting's got more low end, it feels like. Oh my god. I can go over the rails pretty fast. Nice kick drum. This is pretty moderate. Yeah, this could be this is almost like a diode clipping. Almost, let's say. Yeah, it growls a little bit. I like it. Yeah, this is also what this little thing does here. This red thing that sits here, this the diode clipper cable I've got connected through the Moog, going the output into the diode and then the diode onto the desk. So the sweet spot lies in the volume of my Minotaur now. So if I'm opening up the Minotaur more, it'll clip a little bit. It's not like it's going to be like this, but it will introduce a little bit of that grit, that dirt. So it sets it apart from similar sounds. So if the subsequent and the Minotaur were to play together, they've got the similar character. And this is a very, as you can hear, bass heavy sound. This will dominate your mix. You will always hear it, which is nice because that's what I want. My music is very bass heavy, centered around the bass line, so that is what I want. But if I've got another one doing the same thing, and do not let its size fool you, this is absolutely a bad beast when it comes to low-end frequency. Look up the Moog Taurus and check which bands use it for what. I think Plankphonics got one and they're also using one, but you play it with your foot, it's only 3 octaves high, so this is a rendition of that, this thing in low end. Anyone that owns one know what a beast it is. Which means if you play it together with a subsequent, it's going to clash at some point. I was fighting with that a lot. So the diode clipper is helping me a lot because it adds, like I showed you in the beginning, it adds those extra harmonics. So it sets it apart. It's not really setting it apart, but it will make you orientate yourself like, okay, that's where this sound is where that sound is, and you can create some sort of a bearing for yourself in the music, which does not distract but leads you to a certain place, hence you liking the music a little bit better then, hopefully. Now, back to Clipping Town. I can see myself play around with this a lot. You know, this fader is interesting. I can also see this in a studio environment where you would play around and record stuff like this in, you know? I was heading for my kick drum here, but kick drum is over here now. Okay, cool. More drums coming from the octave track this time. Kick in and then. That's an interesting one. Let's see what happens if we were to use the filter and see how these different circuits behave. Right, let's open it up. I can hear 4 steps here. Here's the next step. Here's the next step. Here's the next step. So it goes up in steps. Germanium. Now I'm interested. This I can see working well on guitar if you use it like this. And this is easy setting. Cool. Next one. Ooh, loud. And everything here is on 9 o'clock, mind you, so I can even going crazy with the distortion, but I'm moderately distorting as I do not want this thing to overact, and I would like to have enough of the original sound there so you can hear what happens if I distort it mildly, right? If you're making grunge or drum and bass, I can see this really working. Last setting. Yeah, this is getting me into Prodigy territory, I think. Yeah, I'm liking it a lot. I like it a lot. Okay, cool. I promised to tell you about the Amsterdam Dance event. We're already preparing for that, and there's a few things that are going to happen. As it looks now, we're going to do 3 events. One is going to be at the Recycle Lounge Club. I've got Trovarsi confirmed. Master D is confirmed. Camille Damen is confirmed. Jelle Boulijn, who's also on the Patreon list, is confirmed. We've got so many people playing, it's going to be amazing. That's going to be Analog Kitchen Invites. That's on the Sunday, during the day, mind you, so you can make it. So do keep your eye and feast your ears and eyes on that. That's one thing. Now on the Thursday, I'm hosting panels. We're doing that at the Our House Museum, which means our house museum in the center of Amsterdam. I'm going to host panels. As it looks now, I'm going to invite Kink to come sit down, have a chat with me. So we're in the works of getting that going, and maybe me and him, we're going to do a show later on at night. And the same goes for talking to Klangphonics and stuff. So we're actually looking at our lineup, trying to set stuff up. So this is absolutely going to be amazing. This is going to be a Thursday and a Friday night. So obviously, if you're ready, come and check us out. There's going to be Kitchen Club at ADE. That's going to be something I'm going to be hyping over the next few weeks. You should be paying attention to that. Hey, Michael Smorenberg is new patron for this week. Thank you for joining up. He's actually did the first ever Dawless performance. He put that online and it was a cool track. I was amazed by it. It was cool. So I said like, hey dude, think of this and think of that, but in all, I'm really liking what you're doing. So he hopped on board on Patreon, so thanks for being here. Make sure you check out the chat after this video, because that's what we always do. Patreon is bridged to Discord, and on Discord we do video chats and we talk about what I have just talked about today. So how do you saturate your sound? I think it's a very strong thing. If you buy 4 Minimogs, if you got the money for that, or you will buy 5 909 drum computers, they all sound different. Why is that? You know, so harmonic distortion in those old machines was what latched me on to that way of thinking. Like, hey, there's something in the sound different from this box to that box. Not that I owned all these different boxes, but throughout my many years, I have tried and listen to what it does, especially like tube amplifiers or tube distortions or tube EQs or whatever, you know, they all do a different thing, and mostly you buy them for their taste. Their character is what they're talking about. So that's what you'd like to add to a set. If you're not standing there mixing, this is what happens in the Dawless realm. If you're working Ableton and you're doing it live, then obviously you got access to multiple EQs, but I am not going to bring 5, 6, 7 EQs just to measure the sound out. I'd rather do that, leave it up to the sound people and give them a cool sort of like vibe, you know, and handle it. A compliment that I got of my colleague Speedy J is where I was at his studio doing something that I cannot divulge right now, but I was there and I played, and he said, listen, there's something in your sound that I really, really dig. So I was like, okay, dude, you with the whole store thing and managing all these different lines. So he also hears that there's something different in the way my sound is layered. And that's for a large part due to the saturation and to the harmonic distortion that I invoke on my sound, because sound systems love it when that happens. It's going to be so much bigger, and you know what I always say, let the sound system work for you, don't work against it. If you're going to work against it and trying to just like saturate your production, it's probably not going to work out well for you. It's a hard lesson, we've all been there. You only do it once and then you learn and you stay away from it, but you know what I mean? So this is going to help you out. I'm not saying you need to buy pedals for that. I'm not saying you have to just like overdrive stuff. This is in moderation, everything in moderation. So, okay, breach mode off. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far into the video, you, sir or ma'am, are an absolute superstar. Thank you for watching. I'm Animal Kitchen. You catch me next week on another video. Keep watching this space and I'll see you shortly. Stop my phone. Patreon going. All right, I'll see you. Bye. Peace.